Hey guys, what's up? This is Blaze the movie fan, and I never thought I'd return to the subject of the mysterious Mr. Hunter. Yet here I am doing just that. Now before we get started on the commentary itself, I am gonna tell you my opinion on the person I'm commenting on, who is Autumn Chan. I think that she is an alright commentator. I don't think she's a great commentator. I don't think she's an awful commentator. Just alright. And today's commentary will be on her latest commentary. And since I got a lot to say, I'm just gonna show you the degrees instead of explaining what the degrees are. So if you wanna know what the degrees are, I highly suggest you pause the video right about here. So anyway, without further ado, let's begin.
Hey there, it's me Amelia here, and welcome to my second commentary. And I'm going to attempt a somewhat controversial subject, the mysterious Mr. Enter. Now before you click back, yes, I know there are a lot of commentaries on this guy, or at least there used to be. And yes, I know that quite a few of his haters are really immature. However, this particular video needs to be commented on. It's actually not one of his reviews, but it's about his own work, and it's very revealing. But anyway, enough chit-chat, let's get started.
Somewhat controversial. I get the fact that Mr. Enter has been commented on a lot by the commentary community, and there are quite a few bad commenters in Mr. Enter. Hell, there's one channel to prove that. But how is Mr. Enter controversial, so to say? In fact, here, I'll give you the definition. Controversy. Disagreement, typically when prolonged, public, and heated. My main point here is that Mr. Enter is not necessarily a debatable and controversial topic. In fact, he's an overdone topic.
Actually, he can be considered a controversial subject. When you make a video on the mysterious Mr. Hunter, you can get a lot of heat for it. For example, when MacBoy made his video The Logic of Mr. Hunter on his Ivid commentary channel, he got a lot of heat for it. To the point he had to eventually private the video. And when Doodle Tones made a video on him recently, she also got a lot of heat for it. What I find very strange is the fact that my commentary on his Cars 2 review has been up for over a fucking year, and I haven't gotten a lot of negative comments on that particular video. What makes it even more strange is the fact that the video is one of the first videos you find by searching the mysterious Mr. Enter commentary.
And I will give credit where it's due, he said it's on his own work because of how a lot of commentaries on Enter covered his Anime Atrocity series. But there is a reason as to why people cover his Anime Atrocity series. Because, fun fact, did you know the video Amelia's commentating on is a vlog? And in case y'all didn't know, a vlog doesn't really have much of anything in general aside from, talking about either personal opinions on topics or updates on someone's daily lives. Mainly updates on someone's daily lives.
Who the hell are you to decide what is or isn't commentary material? Everything is commentary material as long as you can do it right. Also, I hope you realize that any video in general where you're discussing something can count as a vlog. Vlog does, after all, stand for a video blog.
Going Around is a project that's very dear to my heart.
Okay, so far so good. A lot of us have projects like that.
Shit, already? Damn, this honestly feels like a point just for the sake of making a point. There's literally no need to jump in and just say, oh, okay, I can see that, and cut back to the video. While the padding is not so much, it's just really pointless. Also, let me bring up the time before you interjected. It was like 2 fucking seconds. How can you automatically tell that a video is good after 2 seconds? I get the fact that you could be making a joke considering how you go on for over 24 minutes, but the bottom line stands. How can I argue so much with such a little statement like this? Why am I still here? Where's my hot chocolate? Why am I in a hotel room that smells like weed and death? And why is there a dead body?
I agree that her interjection was pointless, but the problem I have with your interjection is the fact that you drag it out for far too fucking long.
Currently, I have finished the first draft of the novel, which is about 65,000 words.
It might be nice to explain the project a bit more before you tell us the word count. Anyway, he rambles for a long time about his writing history, and I'm gonna skip that.
Right now, he's telling us how many words there are in that novel, and that brings me to hypotheticals such as, maybe he wanted to use that information to terribly introduce the novel to his audience, or maybe it's just trivia he wanted to give out there towards said audience before talking about the story. I honestly say the latter is true, but you never know. He could be a T-boy.
The reason she skipped that part of Mr. Enter's video is not because she thinks that part of Mr. Enter's video was pointless. The reason she skipped is because she had nothing to say about it. I mean, come on, it's plainly fucking obvious.
But what is growing around?
In my humble little opinion, a disaster. And yes, in case you were wondering, I have read the book in question.
What? We haven't even heard what the story's about, and you're already saying this? I understand you could be joking, but come on, homeboy, don't leave me hanging. Especially when you make such one-off irrelevant statements sound so monotone and don't elaborate. What's the point of interjecting?
No elaboration is necessary because I could understand her point just fine. Also, Amelia's commentary is 24 minutes long, which is a solid length for a commentary. If she did elaborate further on her points, her commentary would be unnecessarily long. And we don't want that, believe me.
It started as wanting to be a webtoon or a pilot, some kind of animated series.
I love how you don't mention that you initially thought you could actually sell it to a TV network. Why, it's almost like you didn't want to be accused of having delusions of grandeur.
Hold on, jumping to baseless assumptions now, are we? Look, dude, I can't read your mind and automatically know what you're talking about. Who do you think I am, Psylocke? Nah, that's a pickle, homie. But my main point is to show what you're talking about at least, or else I will literally take that interjection being worth a grain of salt. Also, consider this a nitpick, but Brandu, what? I legit had to listen to that word over and over again to get what you meant by that, and even now I still can't understand you. I will understand if you have a speech impediment, but I don't know if that's the case or not. Regardless, I highly suggest to speak clearly and articulate your words better, or else your audience will get confused. Well, in the end, I did figure out what you meant, and I'll read the definition of it. Delusions of grandeur, a false impression of one's own importance. While you don't have anything to back up your claim on how he wanted a TV adaptation, how is this a case of delusion of grandeur? Just because he wanted it doesn't mean he's going to try everything in his power to make it come true just because he thinks it's so important.
First of all, that was not a baseless assumption. Her assumption is completely valid. Granted, she could have provided evidence, I'm not faulting her there, but I have been paying attention to the mysterious Mr. Enter since 2014, so trust me, I know what I'm talking about when I say that the assumption is valid. Secondly, it's not her fault that you don't understand the definition of a word. Now don't get me wrong, the fact that you're looking up the definition is a good thing, because doing research is important for a commentary. But blaming the fact that you don't know the definition of a word on someone not speaking clearly is very dumb.
They're cold and tough and dark, even though fiction is about the fantastical and stuff that couldn't possibly exist in reality.
Yes, but that's not an excuse to throw out all logic.
Hey Amelia, let me give you a little word that everyone can appreciate. Fiction! F-I-C-T-I-O-N. Come on, dude, that isn't that hard. We're literally talking about a fictional, aka not real story, where a lot of the logic within our word wouldn't work. A lot of your points within this commentary tries to bring Mr. Ender's story in realistic terms when it's clearly stated that the story is set in a fictional world.
She never implied that the story is real. She is explaining why the story doesn't make any sense in a fictional universe. And for the record, there is a difference between something being unrealistic and not making any sense. Also, just because something is fictional doesn't justify it from shitty writing.
Now, in a sense, Amelia, you are correct. Logic shouldn't be disposed of even in fictional settings.
You just shot the argument you made a few seconds ago in the foot by saying that. Way to fucking go!
So let's ask, what makes a good story aimed at children?
Not something where people become slaves to their kids as soon as they grow up, I can tell you that.
Are you legit being serious here? These one-off statements and this repetition are gonna make me go insane. I swear I'm gonna lose it. What are you doing, Amelia? Learn to script!
This is a valid complaint, I will give you that. The fact that she is repeating herself throughout this video really is a problem.
To answer that, you're going to need to think about what issues do kids generally go through.
I've actually spent a lot of time with kids through babysitting and substitute teaching, and I really don't think that your book is something that's going to really appeal to them. For one thing, the characters are really bland and stereotypical. They feel like they were written by someone whose idea of what kids are like came from watching Nickelodeon. Like, all kids want to eat nothing but sugar, all kids love getting dirty. But I'm getting off topic. On with the video.
But, Amelia, you realize something? Your argument is subjective. Pro tips, opinions don't debunk opinions. Okay, thanks. Now I understand you're bringing up a personal experience and how kids nowadays wouldn't be interested in Enter's novel, but that's the thing. While it's anecdotal, this normally means that not all kids are gonna have the opinion that Enter's novel wasn't good due to how it's from your experience.
Actually, her experience does debunk Mr. Enter's point, because his point was that children in general would enjoy his novel. And bringing up examples of children that wouldn't proves Mr. Enter totally wrong.
Also, regarding your "oh, I'm getting off topic" thing, dude, you're fine. In fact, do you know what that was called? That's right! Elaboration!
By admitting that she doesn't elaborate, you just shot another one of your arguments in the foot. Quick, I think you should get a doctor, because your arguments are bleeding badly.
A sense of wonder and intrigue is very important to children's books and children's media. And growing around peer groups, books and movies and games and television shows aimed at a similar audience. We have works like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Sideways Stories from Wayside School. Actually, I think that Charlie is a pretty good way to put this.
Oh boy, here we go. By the way, I love how you put in that little note bitching about your critics. Real mature.
You didn't even argue against him? Like, at all? Please help me. Also, consider this a nitpick from me, but why is the screenshot you took in poorer quality than the actual video? I was just getting out to take better pictures, homie.
So you admit this is a nitpick, yet you went through with making that argument anyway? Now let me break something to you very harshly. Nitpicks have no place in a commentary, because the purpose of a commentary is to point out legitimate flaws of the video you're covering.
Explaining the magic, and keep in mind, I'm using magic in a very loose sense here. It could also refer to something like faster than light travel, whatever is the book's special thing. It's always a dicey proposition.
First, it's really pretentious to put your own work in the same category as these beloved stories.
How is it pretentious to add his own work to this? He's giving examples of what's considered to be unnatural to our world. That's not being pretentious!
It is true that comparing your own project to someone else's doesn't automatically make you pretentious, but you have to keep in mind that the mysterious Mr. Enter has a long history of doing things that can be considered pretentious, so it makes sense to assume he is being pretentious here. I would give you examples of what I'm talking about, but Amelia does that later on in the video, which we will be getting into when we get there.
First of all, there are people out there who do want me and my projects to fail. I have plenty of trolls who have a very concerned interest in watching me suffer. And I do know that there are plenty of people who would intentionally try to give me counterintuitive or broken information to make my project worse on purpose.
Have you ever thought about just why that is? Maybe it has to do with the rules on your DeviantArt page, or the time you bitched at a guy for going to college, or the time that you blocked everybody who dared to say that trolls and cyberbullies weren't the same thing, or the time that you used an entire review to bitch about getting requests, or the time you used your Asperger's as an excuse to not take criticism from anyone you don't personally know. Yes, some people are jerks, but quite a few of your antis, myself included, used to be fans before they got turned off by your behavior.
But the first two screenshots, how the fuck will you know that they're valid? Like, at all? Dude, you might want to check the dates on those things, because if they're old, congrats! You just came into an argument with no ammo. As for the Admiral Enveration video, you realize how old that video is? Almost 2 years old. Hell, as far as I know, Bob actually commented on that video. As for the last two screenshots, they're also a year ago. Look at all that credibility. All down the drain. Whoopsie.
Oh great, you're making the same mistake TOG Professor made back in 2013 in his commentary on iVate commentary. Do you have proof that the mysterious Mr. Enter doesn't stand by the viewpoints he had back when these videos and articles were new? Yes, it is possible that he no longer stays by those viewpoints, but it's extremely unlikely. Just because those examples are old doesn't mean that they're irrelevant. And if he hasn't changed much since then, which is very likely, then these examples are still valid. And then Autumn Chan gets to her overall thoughts, and I am gonna skip to the parts of her overall thoughts that I got something to say about.
Another thing is to add emotion to what you're saying, and please add jokes to be over the top of seriousness. Commentators are made to criticize and entertain their audience.
The reason on why the point your video is supposed to be entertaining doesn't help is because entertainment is entirely subjective. What you might find entertaining is something that another person might not. Also, of course, most people on YouTube are trying to make their videos entertaining. It's dumb to assume otherwise. Yes, there are some people who couldn't care less about the quality of their content, but it doesn't change the fact that most people do care about the quality of their content. Also, jokes aren't entirely necessary to make a video entertaining. Sure, they can help, but they aren't entirely necessary. Other things that can make a video entertaining is to be informative, give legitimate points, and being entirely honest.
Now, if you remember my first introduction, you recall me talking about the video Amelia was commentating on and how it isn't a really good idea to commentate on it due to how it's a vlog, and vlogs don't hold a bunch of commentary material. Remember how I said there's a solution? Well, here it is. This video would actually been a lot better and held more substance if this was actually a review on the novel instead of a commentary regarding said novel.
So you're saying it shouldn't be a commentary but a review instead? I hope you are aware that commentaries and reviews are similar. And for the record, I know there are a lot of differences between commentaries and reviews, but there is one big thing that those two have in common though. They both require analyzations and bringing up legitimate points. Now it's time for my overall thoughts. Autumn Chan, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think this video is downright awful. You did make some good points and your jokes were well executed. I wouldn't say that they were funny since I never laughed during the video, but they were still executed well. But your commentary is still pretty bad. The main issue I have with your commentary is the fact that you were dismissing legitimate examples simply because they were old. Well guys, you have reached the end of the video. Thank you for watching and have a great day.